train it rolling.
Okay.
What's up, buddy? How you feeling?
Tired.
Yeah. Work beating you down?
Stupid people.
Here's a good Halloween trick.
Well, that's 100% what your job is just stupid people all day long, right?
Yep.
I mean, you work in customer service for Verizon. It's just dumb people endlessly.
Well, I work talking to the reps who don't know what to do.
Oh, oh. So you don't talk to the dumb customers anymore. You talk to the people who talk to the dumb customers.
Very rarely.
Gotcha. But those people themselves are also the dumb? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, usually.
Just a giant mess of dumb? Well, wonderful. All right, I guess we can kick this thing off with you, me, zero people on the internet. It's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Pretty cool. Got to think of a better opening than whatever terrible one that I wrote. So, welcome to the No People on the Internet. Come in for episode 7 of the Grommcast. It's a show in which we bitch, moan, and complain about everything we don't like. I have ideas. Hacksaw hates them and tells me so. And that's what
Sometimes.
that's what we do. You can join us on Facebook. We have a group. Follow us on Twitch. We even posted episodes on YouTube under Grumpy Old Man or Old Man Merwin. So feel free to dig the old ones up. I'm still figuring out how to compress the files enough to get them into a good podcast format because all of the ones that I have found, the file sizes are all too big. So we're working on fixing that. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, so figured tonight we're gonna kind of roll a little bit of our hate my home game segment into primary topic about the dark side of player agency and the benevolence of the narrative choke chain. I still chuckle when I say that. The good, the bad, and the ugly of player freedom versus you know narrator-driven content. I think in our own home game, I think a collision of wills is soon at hand, and I don't know. It's gonna be a fiery explosion, and may lead to the demise of our home game for some period of time. As I don't know that you and the baby M are going to see eye to eye on a variety of things. But I've been doing a lot of
See
things.
you.
Huh?
I don't see you.
You don't see me? What do you mean you don't see me?
Checking in and checking Twitch.
Oh, you don't see us? I was on the Twitch. What the hell?
I saw the notification go out, but I still don't see.
It says that we are the lives.
Oh, there we go. Okay. It took a long time.
Yeah.
Holy
The interwebs and I are not doing so well today. So, not that we do well any days actually, but no. Anyways, so I do think this kind of collision is on the horizon, and it's a multifaceted uh, ticking time bomb of different things. There's obviously the difference in uh, game styles, things that people enjoy, the way things are going in the game. So I was doing a lot of thinking about that, and then obviously with this particular topic. So I guess let me start with this so we're clear. So agency, this is a big thing. It's a buzzword that I see on different forums, all the gaming groups and things that I belong to. There's just the discussion about player agency and how much should the players have. Some people they go on there and they're touting how I run a totally sandbox game. The players do everything. They make all the choices. And I think that sounds idealistic, but ultimately horrific. And as we are seeing in our home game, I think that um, the 100% agency can lead to some problems. Then the flip side is the people that uh, you know talk about how they plan out the games and the players um, sure get to control their own actions, but the game is narrative driven. And again, it sounds idealistic um, and nice. However, that leads to its own slate of problems. And again, I've played in games like that where you really don't have any say over the direction the game goes. You might get to choose the individual actions during the game or in game, but that's about it. So, um, but it has benefits. So, I want to start out with the whole topic of the agency, the dark side of player agency. So, in our home game, we run into this problem where um, there have been several hooks, story arcs kind of put out there, and give players the freedom to kind of choose what they want to do, and one of them keeps avoiding anything that sounds like it might be difficult. Um, and this is a recurring issue. It's come up in other games. This idea, the complaint from the player in other games is that they don't want to they don't want to engage in certain things because everything's too big, everything's too much of an impact. There's too much going on. It's too much too soon, and in our current home game, it's the complaint. It's the jobs are too big, the runs are too big, and everybody's too exposed, and everywhere everywhere the security is too much. You can't get by anything. You can't defeat anything. The corporations are all too tough. Everything is impossible. That's their defense, and they're
attacking in the right direction.
yeah, I will. I my what I was thinking is that my thoughts are this. I really think that it's the players' overwhelming need to win is actually driving them away from doing anything that they think there's even the most remote chance it won't go well. And a big part of that.
Yes, I mean the last encounter we had in the last game. It's just like, really,
Yeah,
I
I actually
anybody can die at any time. The whole if there's no threat of death, what's the point?
now see. I'm going to use that logic against you in a different conversation about
I know you will,
other
but
games.
it's
No, here's the thing. I agree with you. If there isn't like you cannot have dramatic tension if there is no chance of failure. It's why I play video games on super hard. That's because I'm a sadist. But
yeah, that's a
I'm a little
masochist.
I'm a little too far in the extreme. I admit it. But no, it is 100% necessary, and it's one of my chief complaints about the fifth edition D&D is it's so hard. It's really really hard to die. Like you have got to
Why you
turn.
just change
Well, I'm just saying, just the way as it's set
a
up.
role playing game? Every role playing game has a golden rule that says if you don't like something, change it.
Which I'm 100% for doing. I'm just saying it on its surface, it's one of those things that turns me off because I'm like, well, uh, uh,
My death rule. I've already told you what the death rule that I've always used for any of the D&D games was your con.
Yeah.
It's your con, whatever your con score is. Once you're negative, whatever your con score is, you're dead.
You're the dead. which I think is
It rewards characters. It rewards characters that have high con. Like dwarves and the people that actually value that stat. Because really, a couple extra hit points a level, who cares?
It is
The
kind of a dumb stat. You are correct.
Yeah, I mean, it gives a reason for that stat to exist.
I'm okay with it. I think that's much better than the rule as written, which is way too lenient. And you can see the direction that they're pushing things. You have a resurrection spell that's available at level 3 now. They run you through the first 5 levels super fast. So you're very quickly characters are gonna get access to that spell. So revivify, I believe it is. Yeah,
Oh,
revivify.
is it?
It's like level 3.
Is it still like incredibly expensive though?
Well, yes, it does require a 1,000 gold piece diamond, I believe. But
It's not cheap.
it's not cheap, but it's one of those things you just suck it up and buy it. And I'm sure the way a lot of games go, and I remember this from before. You know, players get access to things, and you naturally kind of want them to be able to use it. So usually the fist-sized diamond finds its way to them, kind of thing, something. But back to our home game. So yeah, it's a combination of factors. There's the fact that the other characters, because they were built by people new to the system, they're not min-max very well. This is the one game where really don't have a huge issue with people doing that. It's just how the system is set up.
It could have helped if you would have wanted me to.
I would love to have had people help. They're hermits. They live in their little caves. They spool up the generator and fire up the technology like once a week. They don't communicate with anybody. It's ridiculous. But yes, the characters are technically underpowered a little bit, and I have tried to
Some of them are way underpowered.
way underpowered, yeah.
Love
And
them.
in my clumsy attempts to set the tone and theme of the setting, the dystopian, the Big Brother dystopian future, that apparently has translated to no one can do anything. Everyone gets caught. Like no one can do anything. Everyone can find everything. You can never get away with anything. Everyone's gonna come track you down. And there's always invisible mages.
Break us down, yeah.
Yeah, I know, dude. I know. Yeah, there's invisible mages, and deckers around every corner, waiting to hack all your information, steal all your things.
One decker.
It's all instant. It's all instantaneous. There's no stopping it. I don't.
We've had one decker go against us, and he didn't even do much.
Yeah. I don't. Again,
Of course, he beat our decker because our decker is severely underpowered.
Decker
But
sucks. Yeah, your decker's not built very well. Although, getting the stat boost from the magic kind of has helped that out a little bit. That kind of puts her back on par with where she probably should have been initially.
Right.
So she's essentially
because
if you rate
attributes should be one of the highest things that you have.
Yeah.
Skills should be below attributes. Skills are so much cheaper to buy.
Yes, and
Attributes
realistically, and realistically, you don't need a million skills. Like whatever. People, it's build what sounds interesting to you. Play the game to have fun, and they don't know. There isn't a. The system is different enough that
And read.
Yeah, they don't read the rules. That's
Either.
That's a whole.
I read.
That's a whole other topic.
I read things
too. Yeah, they don't read things.
RTF, in this case, B.
Yeah, read the fucking book. Read the
Yeah.
fucking book. Yeah, it's been 15 years for them. They don't read things. I don't understand how you can be involved in a hobby and come back and want to come back to it, and you don't learn the rules. I do not understand it.
At least the basics.
Yep. Yep.
Why
So,
would you get confused every time that somebody tells you to do something?
oh, dude, I don't know.
Confused every time somebody that tells you to do something, then actually not doing something correctly. So maybe you might want to fix yourself.
Some people aren't good at learning the things. I don't know what to tell you. But so this is what. But so we've run into my first real point about this as I was making my notes about this. Yeah, you give players the freedom to make their own choices, and what happens when they refuse to interact with the hooks that you put in the game, the story arcs that you put out there, and they, it's gotten to the point where you know the they've openly been stated that, well, I want to they want to break all the ties that you have right now. Separate yourself from
What ties?
I know. I know.
We haven't tied ourselves to anything.
I know.
In fact, anytime that we get close to tying ourselves to anything, they run away.
Yep. I know. Yeah, I don't know. So to get the point out there, yeah,
I don't see it lasting much longer either.
yeah, it's a bit untenable, and I do think a part of it is as I've heard about, well, I'm having, we're having a good time with this, but when are we gonna get back to that to D&D? And it's like, I'm not really in a huge rush because I don't really care for some of the rule stuff. Like it I don't know. I'm not really fired up about it. You're not, obviously, and they are, but we
Oh,
we've
shit,
had,
if I ever play D&D again.
yeah, like we've had the discussion about um the rules, and it's like I don't know what to tell you. Like they're cumbersome enough that it bothers me. But yeah, so we're at the point where they're just refusing to engage with the story
Anything.
and with the world itself. Like this.
Well, they not only are they refusing to engage with the story arcs, they're actively, anytime that we do get involved in the story arc, they're actively going against it in the same arc.
Yeah. Yeah, like
This last mission,
yeah, and
they went against absolutely everything, and you're supposed to be somebody with honor that takes a job. You do the job. Oh well, it's bad. You move on to the next job and don't take a job from that person again.
yeah, it's yeah, the professional integrity
Yeah,
is important.
because
So
what happens when you don't. Nobody hires you anymore.
see, that's the thing that I'm staring down the barrel of doing. So
All right, I wouldn't blame you if you did.
the big plan, I guess, is
We can't do another job after this. I mean, we won't be able to get a job.
yeah. So yeah, the big plan after this is to double cross everybody. Now again, I'm okay with that, but yeah, I don't I just they're well essentially
Okay, so
they're
your
screwing
reputation is so your reputation is so bad. You're now completely unhireable.
Yeah, you're black. You get blacklisted. Nobody no reputable Johnson is going to want to hire you.
Not even this reputable Johnson is
Yeah.
going to want to hire you.
Yep. Yeah, not to.
Because they want somebody who will actually work.
Yep.
Not somebody who will, not somebody who's going to just go, oh yeah, I'll take it, and then not do anything.
Yep. Well, then, so
Or even worse, sell all of your secrets to somebody else.
yeah, I mean that's and that's part of that. Part of the game and the world is on one hand you have that again you have the that professional integrity where you don't
And
ask
you
who,
don't
you don't
necessarily
ask who
expect it from your Johnson.
well yeah you don't
You're
ask who you're
supposed to
working
have the
for.
professional integrity.
Yep.
And your Johnson doesn't necessarily have the professional integrity. But then again, if you get screwed over by your Johnson, then you
Nobody
can
works for
take it
them.
out on them. It's fine. But
Yeah.
you can actually do runs against that group because nobody will care if you got screwed over by somebody. Everybody's going to be fine with you running against them.
Yep. So I have to ask this question as I've been accepting some of my own uh, failures with the games and things that I haven't done that well. Did I present did I present the world wrong? Have I did I make them did I make them this paranoid? Because I'm pretty sure that that when I
Mike
explain
is.
well he's
I'm sorry. Baby M is automatically
yeah he's
100%
yeah
paranoid
paranoid could be a
beyond
weirdo.
belief. And because he's the one in contact with the other ones the most often, it just translates over.
Translates to them. Yeah, I didn't have it on my list of notes, so I have another point I thought of that I'm gonna bring up here as we're talking. But yeah, so I think that goes back to the trying to win thing. It's eh, in his mind, he's got to find a way to make sure that he can never be put in a situation where he might lose. Can never be ambushed, can never be double crossed, can never be at risk of anything happening. And again it it it, it makes life hard on me, but it ruins a lot of the atmosphere of the game because it affects how other people play. It affects what you can and cannot do in the game. Like
Some of
steps.
that may just be because of the level of betrayal that you threw at us when we were younger.
Yeah, I think I broke you guys. No, dude, I think did we talk about this already? That I think we talked about this
Somewhat.
like one of the first couple of shows. Yeah, 100%. The shame on us for the people that run games for not for I guess well I guess I'll just it's what I said before. It's the mistake that was made is having the betrayals, the double crosses, whatever. Doing those things from the perspective of the person running the game and not from the perspective of the character who's doing it. So I have information and I have abilities as the narrator to get you guys to do things. So
Mm.
I I really want to I got this cool idea for the backstab, the double cross, the betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
That it makes a great story, but then essentially I metagame so that happens. I make choices and decisions and do things that are probably beyond the scope of what the character could do to you to enable this to work. And then I think it just that kind of thing spirals out of control because, like you said, then it's you're not looking at your interaction with the NPC and saying, okay, is this guy going to screw me? It's okay. I know the DM's trying to screw me, so I got to make sure I have to make sure that I don't let him get me. And then now it's him. It's you guys versus me, not your characters
Yeah.
with the NPC. And I may have overused that a few times, too many, because I love that shit. Um, I like the devious, deceptive kind of underhanded tricks, and once I
And
terrorize you
yet you don't
guys,
let anybody use illusions.
I don't what?
And yet you hate when characters are illusionists.
Oh, well, that's just because the rules are terrible for that, and it's a little goofy the way it's done. I like the idea. I don't like it in practice. But yeah, so yeah, I abuse you guys with it, and then when the meta game, the meta level breaks out, and you guys take precautions to defend yourselves, then I shift over to the new people, and then they don't seem to learn, so they're easy. They're easy prey. They're my victims are numerous, and then here's the problem. So I do it
But you're
again.
reinforcing
I'm,
the
reinfor- I'm, reinfor- I'm
paranoia of
reinforcing the paranoia, which is one problem. Second problem is I'm now because I'm 100% not doing it within the context of what the character who's screwing you can do.
right.
I'm now forcing you guys to up your metagame to counteract me doing it to the people in your group. And then the unintended effect is that the people at the table that are that have to win, that hyper competitiveness, they now start to get have personal issues, so player to player issues with the people who are letting themselves get tricked because they can't they don't look at it as their character them making choices in their character. They look at it as, oh, this player's a dummy because how do they let it happen to them? I wouldn't let it happen to me. I knew what you I and I've had this exact conversation. God, they're so stupid. How do they not see what you're doing? I know what you're doing. I know what's going to happen. They're just dumb, kind of thing. And it's like, well, okay. Because now you have again now I'm creating that animosity against other players at the table, but I'm fostering that, and it's like shit. Like I don't know. Let's be honest. Yeah. I
I made
went.
back the 10 basically.
Wait, what was that? Comments from the Peanut Gallery?
No.
Oh, what the hell was that?
Mega Millions.
Oh, can we retire?
Earth Mega Millions.
Let's retire. Did we
No.
win? We'll split it. I got two numbers in my wallet. Maybe I'm a billionaire. Who knows? I'll find out sometime when I'm done yapping on the internet. But yeah, so, no, this all went horribly wrong when we were kids, and I guarantee that happens for a lot. I would guarantee that happens for a lot of groups and a lot of people. Is that the experiences when they're younger, depending on who runs things and what their thoughts are and what they're doing, can kind of play out in these problems, So definitely, but definitely bad. So like I said, we got to pick up the pieces, I guess, because if I present only one option, there's going to be rebellion. I present many options. Are we at the point where they're going to only pick the easiest, the simplest of them all, and then like we started to talk about last time, if that's the case, then yeah, very very quickly the some of the payoff of the game is lost because then essentially all we're doing is running a series of
One shots.
low engagement one shots, and I don't I don't find that interesting. It's why I'm not at all interested in running or playing the D&D Adventurers League, even if I love the rules, because I don't want to just sit down in a non-contiguous story week after week and just bash monsters and get treasures. Like, I want something more than that. And I would want to present something more than that. So, but yeah, we're at that mess. So yeah, the other thing that, like I said, when people start refusing to do things, like you give them all the options, you have the agency, and they refuse to go down any path, and they start trying to steer towards the easy wins or
Mhm.
the simple stuff because whatever reason. Um, it wreaks havoc on the dynamics, and it 100% can drive players away. I mean, this is one of many pieces of contention that are coming up between you and Baby M. It's like
Mhm.
you don't want to do it. They don't want to do anything. You want to avoid everything. They're so hyper
To do
paranoid about
something,
everything. They don't want to do
you
anything. They're
know, you have to
paralyzed.
do something,
Yep.
something, and keep going until until you. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think
I mean, they're checking out on a story. I mean, yes, we haven't really figured out what the story is, but they're checking out on the story before we even get any parts of the story to figure out if it's a good or bad story.
yep.
We
Yeah, I
can't
think
figure it out because we don't have any of the we have tiny little snapshots here, there, and everywhere, and nothing, no coherent anything to lead in any direction.
yep.
So, I mean, I can understand why our other friend said that he didn't like Shadowrun when you run into something like this, where
Yeah.
we never engage in anything to figure out if there is something to engage in. Oh,
True. I don't know. Yeah, I don't exactly know what I was trying to get it out of him what his actual problem with it is. He didn't. He hasn't really given a straight answer. Like saying,
no, he hasn't.
the rule, like I don't. The rules are complicated. I'm like, dude, you haven't touched the game since 1993, if I recall correctly. So, like, maybe it's amazing right now. I don't know. Like, he plays a shit ton of.
Oh, they
He
are.
plays all this. He plays all the crazy elaborate board games. I mean, they don't. Some of those have some pretty detailed rules. I don't think Shadowrun's that much harder. But yeah, so I tried. I was trying a new like model for running games. I was you know set I set the runs up. The first run is has a very small end to the overall story. It's the tablet and the the all the machinations of the people trying to get it.
Right.
And then it's okay. We'll do this. All right, that run's done. And then we'll then I try to give it back to
Plus side things. Yeah.
yeah, I gave it back to so I went from the forced narration to start. Here's what you're
Hmm.
doing. Here's who hires you. Here's how the group gets together. Boom. Here's what you're doing, which seemed to work out okay. And
Yep.
then then I opened it up. You have the job posting board. You could go back to Cromwell for more jobs. Um, you guys could have done personal things. Whatever. Um, so you got involved. You got involved with
Well, we did end up doing a personal
yeah,
thing.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did a thing
We did.
for
We did,
Eric's
we did
contact.
Sir Thomas.
Yep. Or
Hmm.
Alec, the double blade. Yeah. So yeah, you did that. Great. Awesome. That went well. So
And we got ourselves in trouble.
we finished that, and then you guys you got like
And
you
we
guys
completely ignored the fact that we were in trouble
yeah. We weren't in trouble, but
and went in a different.
yeah,
Well, I mean, when you make somebody who has enough money to do things like importing, things, that's kind of getting yourself in fairly deep when
yeah. But
you're
I
a
so but
avowed
see
enemy of
but I
a certain
built it.
state.
I built in and out. That was like it wasn't like I was struggling to figure out like, oh god, how do I end this? I'm like, no, I knew you guys. I knew you were getting betrayed by your employer. You know, but again, this is goes back to what I don't understand the if I set the world up wrong somehow, but I had said the job boards, those postings, they get rated based on a bunch of factors, but that's your B tier work. That's not your established Johnsons. These are people posting work out there. So there should have always been the idea that, okay, well, why is this job being done this way, not going through the normal channels? Why is it being offered this way? But I had built that out in there. You get betrayed, you get loaded up into the container, you get dumped in the lake, and
And everybody thinks you're dead.
everyone thinks you're dead. So you have the option, and you have the option to pursue revenge, which would have been fine. You have the option to avoid, just lay low and let things dry up, which that's
Let it go away.
yeah, or I wanted to link back into the big story arc. So I'm like, oh, what a perfect way to get you guys going down a path to unravel more of the story
Right.
by having that that patron who happens to have influence agrees to take you under his wing to do a job for him, which would further develop the story. And in exchange for that, he'll make that situation go away. See,
Right.
so I thought we're good.
And Baby M turned that into that was blackmail.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like no,
And convinced everybody else it was blackmail.
yeah. Well, it's just like the whole thing with like they're holding her grandpa hostage.
Oh, they have a nurse that lives with them. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure where you got that from. Like so like this is going to be funny when we play tomorrow, because it's like, okay, it's like, well, you know where the building's at, Steph. You have access to the building whenever you want. You're an authorized user. You're on the permanent guest list. Yes, you can't bring 50 people in there with you, but you can come and go as you please, kind of thing. So like, I don't know what everyone's expecting or planning on doing, but it's
It's a
like,
living facility, right?
yeah, it's a hab building. It's a habitation building in a residential area.
With like a live-in nurse, right?
That's yeah.
At all
That's
is in particular, but I mean the usual minus for that is that they aren't exactly capable of taking care of themselves. So I'm figuring he's got like a live-in nurse.
yeah. Well, yeah. The idea with that trait with
And
the
yes, obviously she'd be a bodyguard too, because the whole point is that
they're keeping him safe for you.
safe.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the paranoia. The paranoia. Now again, I'm okay. I'm okay with delusional paranoia driving player action because they think something's going on. That shit's hysterical, and and sometimes you guys come up with shit that is way better than anything I had planned, and I'm willing to roll with that because, hey, if that's what you think is going on and that's interesting and everyone's kind of into it, great, makes my life easy. I don't have to write the story; you do it for me. So that makes my life super easy. So that's one of the benefits of player agency, giving you guys options to do those kind of things. I don't have an issue with that at all. But yeah, but in this particular scenario, it's going down a bad path because I had I have the main, like I said, I have an idea for an overall story arc. So I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm going to reveal some more of the plot to you guys through this mutual contact, and it frees you from the issue of your last run. It develops the story a little bit more. It gives you somebody to work for. And like he said at the beginning of the job when he hired you, when he brought Steph on board, he's like, look, this is how it goes. You're free to do whatever work you want, but if I need a job done, I come first.
Right.
I'm not sure where the nefarious part of that is.
And how is that? How is that bad?
You know, it's the same. It's the same that I would expect. I would expect anyone to do the same thing for any of their contacts that they had good ratings on, to keep good relations. You know,
Absolutely.
and the trade off is
If
that
anybody called me, any of my contacts called me and said, "Hey, I really need help with this." You know what? Sorry, I gotta go help them.
yep. I mean, depending if you know
I've
if you
got a
live on,
job. If you guys want to help me, help them. Great. If you don't, whatever.
yeah. But yeah, so somehow that's been spun into
Maybe I'm, man. Maybe I'm.
they're all that somehow like the grandfather's a hostage and
Well, the even better part about it is somebody they have never met before in their life
yep.
walks up and starts calling somebody and they've done business with is calling them evil. What? And you believe the new guy?
Yep. Well, of course.
Why would you believe the new guy?
Well, because he said he saw things. Now
So
mind you that both groups, the evil guys and the Indians, both of them were the same character's closest contacts.
yes,
So
same
you
character's
you
closest
don't
contact.
you don't trust the one guy. You don't trust the one guy, the employer who's hired
No,
you
you don't.
and paid you
Not,
because
even
he
better, Jack.
what?
Even better. They turned on that character
Oh,
because I left.
that's right. Because
Weirdly,
you left. Yeah. And no, yeah. So they turn on
still
that on
trust,
that.
but they still trust the one guy
Yep.
who they've never even met before,
Yep.
who is at high contact with the guy that they just betrayed.
Yep.
Trust the original guy that he was working for.
Yes. Yep. Because you're
And you see where his loyalties were obviously to the guy that we were working for the first time.
Yep. Look,
He trusts him more than he trusted the other guy that came and said that the first guy was evil.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. It doesn't make sense in my head either. Again, but I fully admit though, I most definitely should not have had your guy just vanish and not talk to anybody. Definitely bad on my part. So I don't know how much difference that would have made though. No, because
My guy was kind of an asshole.
you were kind of an asshole. Yeah, see, it made sense. It made sense to me, but it drove him off.
Well, no, I mean, he was definitely kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
Control might have been what you might call a sketchy person.
Yeah.
That's the nice way of saying a megalomaniacal, murderous magic user.
Yeah, typical you character. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. But yeah, there are things there are just some things that don't make sense. I still don't. I had the argument with him, and I still don't understand the betrayal, like the idea of betrayal. I'm like, explain to me how you were betrayed. Like they take care of your problems with the other corp. They hire you with a lucrative job to go acquire something. They didn't. They already paid you the first time, and yeah, they reassigned your one dude. Okay, sorry. Now,
It was a betrayal.
So now here's the thing. So this
But
is.
then, even better to double down on that, they then betray the guy that they said the ex party member. They then betray.
Well, because you were betraying them, obviously. Obviously. With all the nothing you did to them.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I brought in a magic user to heal some people that probably should have never lived.
Yep.
According to his own contact, he had no idea how they lived. I brought in the magic user that healed them.
Yep.
Obviously, this person is the height of all evil.
Of course.
Because of course he only evil people bring people back from what most would consider dead.
Yep. Must be terrible. Must be
a terrible person.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I fully intend for all these people to be horribly evil. But
that's beside the point.
it is. I'm like, I wanted, like, I want, the goal was to have there be enough information for it to seem too good to be true. But then it was going, but again, it would keep being reinforced that they're really like, oh, that seems a little weird. Okay, but nothing bad happened. Oh, okay, all right, well, all right.
Well, yeah, the one group that is absolutely evil is consistently the one group that keeps paying us. When the groups that may or may not be evil don't.
Well, again, this goes back to the setup of the world. Like, the idea is they're all evil.
Obviously.
Every corporation has
All
plans and
corporations are
schemes.
evil. That's Shadowrun.
Yeah, they all have plans and schemes for world domination.
Right. It's just if they can tip the scales in their own personal direction better than the next guy.
Yeah.
In what the way that in the Shadowrunners, what they do is, truthfully, they're probably a force for neutral that keeps all of the different corporations in check, because they're all running for a different one at a different time and doing things. They forward one agenda while another group is forwarding the other agenda.
Yeah. Let me refresh my coffee. You can entertain the 0 people on the internet we're talking to for 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay. That's the whole premise of Shadowrun. Is it? The Shadowrunners are just there to forward everybody's agenda and hopefully get that done. I mean, hello, internet. I don't know how to ad lib, so I'm just going to wander around aimlessly in my brain.
All right, I'm back.
While I read 5th edition D&D spells, because I haven't read them yet.
There's an old TV show. There's a little skit where it's like some clown character, right? And he's like talking to all the boys and girls, and he's like, "All right, kids, now it's time for Happy Slappy's special kid time. Now have all the grown-ups leave the room." So all the parents get up and leave the room. And then he's like, "All right, kids, now that it's just us, let's continue our readings." And he pulls out some like porn book, and he's like reading some erotic story to the kids. And he goes, "That's all for today, kids. Have your parents come back in." He goes back to being like, kid friendly. It's pretty. I was just thinking about that. Like a runaway, you're like, well, now that he's gone, a dramatic reading of 50 Shades of Grey. They start reading some fucking smut. I come back and you're like, and we're done with that. Thanks, nice. Continue on. So, yeah. So
I just said I'll just since I'm not good at ad-libbing, I'll just get stuck in my own head and read some 5th edition D&D spells, since I haven't read them yet.
Sweet.
That's when you came back in. So
I came back in. I saved you. Perfect timing. So my timing is impeccable. However, my coffee is much colder than I wanted it to be, so It's warm enough to drink, but not like yummy. So, well, this is like I said. So this is the thing with the agency part of it in this scenario. I put it out there, and then it's run amok, and it's wrecking it's wrecking the group, derailing the game, driving players away, and I have to ask: is it worth it? Like, so let's hypothetically speaking, let's say I played it a little bit differently, and um,
Get it out there.
yeah, I was burping. So let's say
Oh,
that,
okay.
so I personally faded. So let's say I played that differently, right? And I let them talk to you, and I told everybody ahead of time, look, man, Jamie just wants to change characters, and this is just how I'm doing it, and I narrated the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I stepped in and said, let's say that didn't have them go off the deep end, right? But they still decided they don't want to.
I don't know that it wouldn't have made them go out the deep end anyway.
True. Yeah. True. So
Because they took to heart the fact that the first Johnson they ran for was evil from somebody they didn't know.
yeah, they're all evil. They all are, like we were saying.
Yeah. That's the point of Shadowrun, is that everybody that you run for is just forwarding their own agenda, regardless of who they are or what agenda it is.
Yeah, like I mean,
What you're doing is you're just trying to get the job done that you're assigned, that you were good enough, first of all, to take, and second of all, that you were that you felt was worth the to actually do,
correct.
or the reward that you're going to get.
So did I? So let me ask you then. So did I set the world up wrong to them? Because the way that I see it and the way that I explained it, I thought was that the characters are not heroes. You are professional criminals who operate outside of lawful society for your own personal reasons, be it money, thrills, whatever. Uh, um, you know, and you exist. You're in this slice of society that is, the society is oppressive. There is security everywhere. There, there's a mind-numbingly gigantic amount of data collected on everybody all the time, all day. And for the average person, for the sinner, for the corporate slave, the citizen, their life really is like that. They can't get away with the things that you get away with because everywhere they go, they're broadcasting. They're broadcasting a signal that can be tracked back to them, and that's who they really are. You guys are free from that, and you live in this world. So you either you have the tools and the technology to get around these things. You can defeat them. I explained, like, if you, like, yeah, there's cameras. Sure, there's there's security cameras everywhere. There's thousands of those all over the place, but no one's
They
gonna.
can never be searched very effectively unless somebody's specifically looking for one thing at one specific time,
Yep.
and the data is always there. There's
Yeah, and if somebody
super
goes,
amounts of data, but you know what? It's buried under so much more other data.
yep. Yeah, I mean, sure. You're on camera with something, and it makes the news cycle for a
They're not
couple of
going to know
days.
who you really are.
Yeah, yeah. You literally don't exist. So yeah, they get a description. Maybe they put your face out there. Maybe they don't. I've had that in the game too, where
The
like, well,
the one fight with that Russian group.
yeah, they're not. Yeah, they didn't broadcast all that information out there.
No, we took out security guard posts. We took out the
You guys
truck.
wrecked that place.
We
It was
took
great.
out the people. Most of that did not actually hit the news because, well, they didn't want the news to have most of the information.
Yep. Yeah. Suppression of information is a pretty
Mhm.
regular thing. And I mean, let's be honest. You're like with you
Your average wage slave probably wouldn't know what that was anyway.
yeah, or wouldn't care. You know,
Well, no, I mean they might care about human trafficking, but
maybe. But think about it. But think about
they
this. There's and again, I thought I maybe I didn't maybe I didn't set this up correctly. But look at the law enforcement corporations. Okay, so they have a few.
corporation.
They have a few hundred officers. Yeah, they have a few hundred officers.
First of all,
They have some shitty contract
one of the yeah.
to
Thing is,
watch over
first of
people.
all, it's a law enforcement corporation. Remember that.
It's a corporation.
It's
Oh,
a corporation.
yeah, they have a contract. Okay, so they pay other people, they pay all their expenses, they have all their own aims and things they're doing. Every second they waste a resource hunting you down is time that they're not hunting down the probably thousands of other people doing shit you're doing. All the other crime, all the things that the things that tweak the fucking government and the tax, the politicians and different things like you screwing over a different corporation. You're like, well, whatever. It's
If they have an alliance with the corporation, maybe. But most of the law enforcement corporations think that the other corporations are garbage that should be crushed and mashed under their heel because they're the law.
absolutely. And think about it, like someone
Either that or they're the supplier.
some drone some corporate or government drone winds up dead in a gutter. There's 17 million people. Like, whatever. There's people go missing. There's plenty of murders. All sorts of terrible things happen. As it's as long as everyone's drinking their slushies and floating around in their hover chairs, the normals don't care. The politicians don't care. Corporations don't care. It's another case file. You throw one. You got 5,000 cases. You got 10 detectives. They work on whatever they work on, and then when something big happens, the mayor's daughter goes missing. All of a sudden, then we're Johnny on the spot, or something. So it's like
or they hire runners to actually be Johnny on the spot.
there you go. Something. The rich people's area gets messed with or something that might jeopardize their contract. That's a different story. But for the average drone, like, nobody gives a shit. You literally don't matter.
Then if it's simple, if they caught somebody with a knife in the drone's chest
Great.
at the time.
Great.
Okay, we got this one, guys.
Yeah.
Look at that for us.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's like, I don't know. Maybe I didn't make it clear enough. But again, I think a lot of it goes back to this obsession with winning at the game, though, where it's well, because because it's hard, we can't do anything. Well, no, it's because you have decided that everything is too difficult to do because you don't. God forbid you lose at something. Oh shit!
God forbid somebody actually finds out who you are.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's
Really?
Yeah, and again, it's not like there's not hundreds of people that kind of look like you. You again,
Very human.
You don't exist. You don't.
A fantasy game as a human. There you go. You've already broken the game.
Yep.
Look like a billion other people.
More than a billion other people.
Probably 4 billion other people.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I mean, there's certain shades that he wouldn't look like. There's certain. I mean, he could though. I mean, put a little dirt on him, and he could be other shades.
I get it. Scuff him off a bit. So sorry. With this, I have to ask. Well, I'm sorry. Let me raise my last point about this. The problem with
Sure.
this,
Sure.
if if you create an environment where everything is driven by player action, what naturally is going to happen is that the stronger personalities will end up dominating all of the action in the game.
Correct.
And while that might be a relief for the wallflowers because they don't really have to make any choices. Some people are okay with that. Is that really healthy in the long term? Is it
Probably not.
no? And is it? I mean,
It shouldn't be, but
I guess
I
I will
I
ask him.
can't say that it is. It definitely is not.
Okay, so that's what I would say. There's a leadership. Um, there's there's a bunch of books on leadership. The one guy, it's John Maxwell, I think is the guy's name. Um, One of the books he has out there. There's the 10 irrefutable laws of leadership, right? And one of the laws is this idea that in any group, everybody essentially has their leadership level, right? So say it's 1 through 10. So someone's a 4, somebody's a 7, a bunch of people are 2s, people are 1s, people are 9s, whatever. In any group, no matter what the structure is, people will naturally follow the best leaders. So in business you run into problems when the people who have the authority, the people in positions of power, when they are weaker leaders than people below them, you can have friction and conflict because people naturally are going to follow the lead of the better leader, the more charismatic, whatever metric you want to measure it on.
Happens. Right.
Right. Now, in
Okay.
some cases, it's the person with the strongest personality, so the loudest voice. That person could be a total asshat, but
Right.
because they're the loudest and they're the most vocal, people kind of fall in line behind them. So, in a gaming setting, I can see it being fine if the person is, you know, well, I'll pat myself on the back because I'm awesome. And I have kind of grown into this mentor, I'm the old wizard in the bar that gives you the quest. That's kind of where I'm at in life, and
Right.
I'm very interested in improving the people that we play with and people that I'm around. Um, I think my way of gaming and my ideas are good, and I think would lead to good games and happy people. So if we sit down and it ends up being me, a few years back I'm an asshole. Now much better, but maybe it could be a good thing because I would encourage the weaker personalities, the softer spoken people, the shy people. You know, what do you want to do? What do you think? What are your I want to do that because I don't care. I want to win. I hate losing, but I see the value in losing both as educational and from a story perspective. I see the bigger picture on that. So like if it ended up being me, whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But when it's Mount St. Mikey calling the shots, and it's weaker personalities. I don't know that I don't know that it's having a positive effect. I don't
I
think it
agree with
is.
that.
I don't think it is. That's why I was saying with Chinny there, the chinless choker. Yeah, we all. I'm pretty much convinced anybody that ever hears us talk, like they all just think we all hate each other. They really don't. I don't think so.
No,
Anyways,
we really don't. It's
I don't. I
it's
don't.
it's
As you said once, and I got to tell you my idea for the opening of the show. I'll talk about it in a second. Sometimes I hate everybody, and sometimes I hate you, and that stung for a long time. But I realized, yeah, I kind of suck sometimes. Totally warranted. 100% warranted. So
That's just my asshole coming out.
that's fine. I accept that. I'm okay with it. Yeah, like it's people. But I've been like my wife in particular asks this all the time. She's like, why do you even talk to these people? Like you all hate each other. Like yeah, not really. Like there's shit that there's shit that annoys me. Absolutely, and
Yeah.
For the most part, all of us, even some of our quieter friends, like everyone's got a strong enough personality that we're like, yeah, no, that's dumb. Not dealing with that shit, kind of thing. So we're all checking each other all the time, which is healthy. And I will tell you, I said this when we were talking about Chinny.
Mm.
If we were all in the same room, I don't think these things would be as big of a problem because I'm not going to sit across the table from him or you or Joe or any of them and deal with the bullshit. Like I'm just not going to do it, and you're not going to do it, and they're not going to, and they're not going to do it, and you're all right there in each other's face. So that shit's not going to fly. But doing this on the internet, there's that disconnect and the distance, and there's you really can't kind of nip that shit in the bud, type thing. So. Yeah, so like I think if we were in person, if we were all together, I don't think this would be that big of a deal. And I don't think it would be as much of a problem to, the times when that person takes the lead, I don't think would be as big of an issue because the impact isn't as direct and there are other people to challenge. Now, it definitely hit. We've had
like when I tried to challenge this last time and just overrode me.
Yeah, well, and yeah, because it's much easier to do that when you're not face to face with somebody. Now, not to say that we haven't had huge flaming meltdowns and with each other face to face, which definitely wasn't good for the evening at the time.
Yeah.
But that shit's got to happen. And like I was saying with this, like I had 2 or 3 conversations with him, huge arguments, yelling back and forth on the phone. And then a couple days later, he's like, yeah, okay, I thought about it. Maybe you're not wrong. All right. Was it that hard? Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you have to. But I think in general, I think it's a problem because, again, I made the point last time we were talking with the, what happens if you get, you get a couple SJWs sitting down at your table with some people that are hard the other way, kind of thing. Like, that's a recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. If you try to run a game with certain themes that people don't agree with, in our particular game,
Human trafficking.
What?
Human trafficking.
Yeah, or that, or just the the meta-human racists. Kind of
Oh yeah.
If if people
It's realistic.
Well, the thing is, if people, but if people at your table personally don't have, have a less strong opinion about that kind of ideology and behavior than others, you're going to run into these conflicts because, what you might, what you're strongly motivated to stand against is not the same as them, and
Well, my strong motivation to stand against the metahuman racist is because
you're a metahuman.
I often play a metahuman character, and in real life, I don't care. Everybody can believe whatever they want.
You can be as big an idiot as you want.
You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Life goes on. You know what?
Yep.
As long as you're not out there lynching somebody, I don't care.
Yeah, this was the gist
stringing people from trees, then I might have to say something about it.
Yep, that was the gist of my argument.
Might be a little bit
with Piotr the other day on the Facebooks. It's like, Like you can say all the dumb shit you want. You can believe all the dumb shit you want. The second you start telling me that you're going to advocate for using violence against people who say dumb things, you got to stop, because you're in a real bad place when you start talking about that shit. Real bad, because that's bad. Like that leads nowhere good.
Right.
Nowhere good, because it never stops. So
And you can't fix stupid.
you cannot fix stupid. Nope. Now,
Once.
as I said to him, I'm all. Some people just need killing. I'm all for that. However, that needs to happen when they have taken action or are about to take action. Then some shit needs to get resolved. But up until that point, you can say all the dumb shit you want. Whatever. Whatever. All right. So
Right.
the big question with this
Mm-hmm.
is it with all the potentials for everything to go wrong, bullying people out of the table, dominant personalities taking over, games falling apart, stories falling apart, all the bad things that happen. Is it worth having the freedom for the players, from the person running the game, to be able to make those decisions? Is it worth it? Now we talked about this before with at the start of the game, where
You have to have some. You have to have some freedom. You can't be completely and totally choiceless, basically.
yeah. So let me ask you. Well, yeah. So I agree. I think you do have to have a mix of it. And I will say, one of my big thing against the complete, like the unbridled agency, though, where there's nothing you're compelled to do. It's not. I don't think it's real. It's not. I don't think it's realistic, because nobody.
Because you're going to, if you're a real person,
Yep.
you're going to feel that you have to do certain things,
Absolutely, and there will be
want to or not.
Yep, and there will be times
It's like
when
going to work. It's
Yeah.
like going to work.
nobody wants to work.
Does anybody really want to go to work?
Not me.
No, sure, you may have a job that you love, but at times, do you really want to go to work?
Let's be honest. I don't. I don't necessarily believe that anybody has a job they love. Like, I get enjoyment out of some of the things I do. I don't mind the work I do. I like the people. But if someone said tomorrow, "Hey, look, man, I'm going to pay you $70,000 a year to sit at home and do whatever you feel like doing," I'm done working the second I hear that offer. Because why would I? Why would you want to work?
Somebody like Mark Rosewater, I would have to say, probably I would think that he loves his job
Who?
to a degree that it actually makes him happy to go to work.
Wait, who is
But
that?
then again, he's just as happy, Mark Rosewater.
Oh, well, yeah, but how much work does he really do? Come on now.
A lot.
Come on now. He's a head designer. He just gets to go in and be like, "All right, show me magic cards all day long." That's not working. Damn it. Oh, and you know what's speaking of work and things that suck, just to throw this out there. So I spent the better part of 2.5 years looking for a job, right? I found myself separated from my employer unexpectedly. Locked into a job of similar position, similar pay, at a dying company, and I gave it a solid go for the first year. I'm like, all right, everything's gonna be fine. I drank the Kool-Aid. Then I'm like, yeah, no, we're screwed. So I spent about 2.5 years looking for a job, dude. I checked hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and I the entire time I would always go and check like Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, all the gaming jobs. Like, And and I said to myself, I'm like, you know what, dude, if they have a fucking game designer job that opens up, like, I would try to get that.
Well,
I'm
no,
like,
they only do it through the designer search.
no, hang on, no, but not for Magic. I'm thinking for D&D, for any of the gaming, right?
Oh, okay.
I check that shit every day. I still get the alerts in my inbox, my email, right?
Mhm.
Never, not a single creative job came up. Nothing that wasn't like senior level, needed 10 years of experience and a portfolio of work. Nothing, right? Nothing. So I'm like, whatever. And I never expected that to be a thing. But I swear to God, I would have packed my bags and moved to Seattle if I had gotten a job offer from them, right? Like the whole 2.5 years. So I get my new job. Things are great. I want to put my 20 years in, retire. Good company, good work. It's the best job I've ever had. So I would not uproot myself and move anymore. I want to I want to keep doing the show. Um, I've been working on better game design, things that I want to, I'm going to keep working on that. Like if, but I'm at the point now where like, say I finished rewriting my book and I sell it. I
Mhm.
I don't know necessarily that I would quit my job, even if I was able, I would probably try and do both for a while,
Right.
kind of thing, right?
At least through the third book.
So exactly. So of course, I'm a couple months into this gig. Things are going great. Totally committed to it. Goddamn job opens up for content designer for them, and I'm like, it's like entry level. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Right.
Like, I can't take that job now. There's no way I would take that job now. But God, I want that job so bad. That's like, that's what I want to do. Do that for a living. Oh, I was so mad. All right, sorry, I got off topic there. But yeah, so yeah, we agree it's not realistic. Now, I was thinking about this, right? So I like to complain about things. So we're bitching and moaning about the problem with this. And we can see clearly where it can go bad. Having to move Mount St. Mikey to do anything, and kind of that kind of grinding some of the weaker personalities into the background. Obviously, we've had this game might implode over some of this stuff, and I've had other games. So I was thinking about this, right? So can you think of a story from any of the games that you've done with your other group, whatever, where you guys getting to make the choices like went really wrong or went really well? I was kind of racking my brain for a good story about this because
Where a choice went really wrong or really well.
yeah, like where the where you guys been like, all right, do whatever you guys want to do, we'll go do it, kind of thing. Where you were, you were free, you didn't have the choke chain on. There wasn't something going on that you were compelled to do. Like where someone just 100% got to go off on a tangent to do whatever they felt like their character wanted to do, and everybody else went along with it, and it worked out great. I'm racking my brain I'm trying to think of one. I know we've had a couple. There has to be a couple in there somewhere. And I'm racking my brain about it. So,
I can think of a few that didn't go incredibly right. It usually ended up with one of the other characters that happened to show up for the game that week when it was me and Mike, and they got diseased or webbed or killed or something along that lines. But we were doing what we wanted to do.
yes, no, you know what? The more and more I think about that, I don't know 100% that you guys were really doing what you wanted to do. I think I think it seemed like that, but I think I was fairly heavy-handed with that. Now, when I think back
It
on
might
it,
have
like,
been, but you know what? We liked. Well, no, see, because Jay, that always came back to me saying, but, but, but if we kill the rats, then
oh,
that's
I
more
forgot about
experience.
that. No, no.
Me attacking the gators. Me
Yes, I was just
attacking
thinking
the
about
fighters.
that's exactly what came
Every
to my
single time,
mind.
that was me going and doing that.
So what? So okay, hang on. So I just thought I just thought of the Gators too. So wait a second. I'm pretty sure the way this worked every time was I think
That a
every
third
time
party was involved.
somebody
else was
always
in that
suffered.
game.
Because
Somebody else came that game.
Sean got diseased, right?
Yep, from the rats.
From the rats.
Did
the crocodile? The
somebody
crocodiles almost killed you guys.
Pete.
I thought.
Pete got webbed.
Oh no! Well, no.
Killed us.
First of all,
got
Pete
webbed.
every single time somebody got like held, immobilized, taken. It was him every time.
Yes, it was.
That shit was funny.
Every single time.
I'm trying to remember. Did one of you guys almost?
of course,
did the crocodiles almost kill one of you guys?
I don't remember what happened with the crocodiles. Probably because it almost killed me.
What I remember though is this is just the
it wasn't worth anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about this for another topic, another show doing the murder-based role playing, talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you guys 100% chose to fight them things for the experience points.
And then we got like 25.
They were 70 experience points each, and they were fucking ridiculous. They were so hard to kill. They were like, because I think it was like the bite was like 3d10.
See, they fixed that in 3rd edition.
Oh, they did?
They fixed that.
How'd they fix
that? Because a crocodile is a freaking challenge rating 2 creature.
Yeah. Oh,
of course, if you're level 5 or 6, then they're not all that crazy. But they're like a challenge rating 2 or challenge rating 3.
3,
creature.
yeah, I remember. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's
no, they weren't pushovers like worth nothing like they were in 2nd.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to think of. So yeah, those are some things didn't go well. What I was trying to think of was if I've played in games where they put out like the hook or a couple of hooks and everyone's just like, no, not doing that. Like, nope, just.
Actually, there was one great one, Jay. It was me, you, Mike, and somebody else.
Okay.
And we were on a mission.
Yep.
That was supposed to pull us into Ravenloft, and we all go, "Nah, we're gonna go to Silvery Moon." That was the last time that DM ever ran a game. That was the best. That was the best thing that ever happened.
Did we break somebody? By the way, we have a long history of doing that shit. People just quit playing games with us. They're like, yeah, no, we're done. Was that?
Oh yeah, who
was that? Was that? I remember.
It was Neil.
Was it Neil?
We broke Neil that time.
We broke Neil. Okay.
Yeah, that time was Neil.
Broke Neil. We broke Trevor.
Because he wanted to pull us in the Ravenloft, and we said, no, we really don't want to go in the Ravenloft. Thanks.
Yep.
We'll go to Silvery Moon.
Yeah.
And then he was like, what?
Well, fucking, I'm done. Yep.
Okay, I'm done, guys. No, we're going to Silvery Moon. We want to see I want to go visit Chandril or whoever was supposed to be at Silvery Moon.
Yep.
No, I want to go to Silvery Moon.
Yeah, I know we did have broke
it
Trevor.
is broken.
Remember
Trevor, we broke by killing him.
Yeah. Well, he's like, all right. Well, do I wake up?
No,
you don't wake up.
Too.
You don't wake up. You're dead. See, I should have known we should have known a long time ago that the darkness, the dark side was strong with the baby M. I'm like, I didn't think,
he did grow up. He did grow up in the environment of psychotic evil.
He did.
So
Yeah, in fact, he did. You are correct. So I guess we can't blame him for that. But oh god, there's some funny ones. But well, and then I remember with Pete. I'm the worst fucking person ever. Like I really think back and I'm like, man, I suck. Like I was so bad to people.
Well, you killed my favorite character.
Did I? Which one was that?
Balthazar Tanquin. The half elf that you turned into a paladin and then blinded and threw an ogre at him.
I don't remember doing
that. After you betrayed me with Nadal.
Okay.
Getting the sword from the sword from betraying me with make me retrieve a magical sword that you then took away from me immediately.
All right, I'm gonna have to say I don't remember that. It's in my brain somewhere, I'm sure. don't remember that.
Half elf cavalier he started out as.
I'm not. I'm
And
thinking,
then
man. I'm thinking
basically turned him into
it's in there. It's in my brain somewhere. I'm thinking.
not really a paladin, but you made me swear to good
Okay. All right.
in order to get the magic sword that you then stole.
Did I really? God, I'm a dick. I'm not very nice.
Of course, I wouldn't have known that the sword was there unless you had the character who was going to betray me to steal it.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah,
then
so-
and then we went into a fight right after that. And you blinded me and had the ogre fighting us. And imagine that I didn't live.
That sounds like something I would do. Well, like you said earlier, I may have ruined you guys with the betrayal a bit too much. A little heavy on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what I was thinking of, just I had the Pete memory in my head. Is, and again, I'm a terrible human being. As Pete is describe as he's describing the setting, and he's like, yeah, there's all these murals on the wall,
yes.
all these heroic murals on these walls depicting, these great battles and the heroic
Glory.
scenes from the heroic scenes from
Heroic glory.
from the Empire's defeat when they were driven from their homeland. And I'm like, what's so heroic about losing your homeland? And he's like,
Yes.
you're done. I got that was the I don't know. I think that was the last time we ever played together. Like
I'm pretty
a
sure.
horrible person. I'm horrible.
Yep.
So some of these, I learned later.
I do
in life-
remember that, and
it was
made
pretty.
me laugh so
pretty
much.
fucking funny. But so I learned later in life that I have a small problem. I have this personality flaw, right? So I had this compulsive need. I got to be the smartest guy in the room, kind of thing. And it leads me to some very like dick move kind of things. For example, like went to a work meeting with another manager that I was friends with, and he asked. He had a question on the way up there. He asked a question about something we're doing. If we were doing this audit every week, right? They had changed it. It used to be every week. Now it was every other week, and the odd week you would fix the problems you found. And he didn't want to ask the question at the meeting because he didn't want to look like an idiot. So I'm like, I'll ask the question for you. Whatever, I don't care. So I asked the question, and the answer, and again, I knew I was right about it. I'm like, we only do it once a week, or once every other week. We don't do it every week. But I asked the question for his benefit. I get the answer, but I get the look from our boss, who's leading the meeting, at me like I'm retarded, and
Right.
without missing a beat, I'm like, okay, cool. I knew that was the answer, but somebody else wanted to know, so I figured I would ask. And he's like, thanks, Dick. I wrote up with you so everyone knows it was me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, wow. Right under the bus you went. Sorry about that. Like, I didn't even realize I did that. I'm like, I just fucking did it. Like, that shit with Pete, right? Like,
Yeah.
I guarantee, like, while that is kind of funny, it was definitely funny. I guarantee you that if I was really if I could get back in my head at that exact moment, that probably came out of my mouth because I have to be the best DM and storyteller and story creator. So of course, if anybody else tries to do anything, I gotta shoot holes in it because I'm a dick, and I don't really
Right.
and it's just totally like unconscious. I'm like, just do this shit all the time. I didn't used to realize it. Now, when I kind of realized I had this issue, I look back on things and I'm like, oh yeah, oh sorry about that. Like sorry. Gotta check myself all the time. So it was bad. And then your foray into running games. Just want to take in my defense that Renaissance job was killing me.
Hmm.
So I
Fine.
think I
I realized that I really wasn't any good at it either. So
I don't.
I
Think
mean, even when I was running the stuff at Alter States, I didn't think I was all that good at it.
I don't know. I don't see. Here's the thing.
I didn't have a story.
Well, you know what though? I don't know.
I can't make a story up to save my life.
I don't know. I don't think he'd be bad at it.
I can't make a story. I can keep on reacting to what everybody's doing, and probably to some degree, I mean, I'd have things planned so that you end up doing whatever I did anyway.
Yep.
Because I found out that I didn't do that very well either. When I tried to do one for people at work,
Yeah.
I realized that, hey, look, I don't know how to work on the fly, so I need to make sure that they do what I want them to do, even when I tell them not to do what I want them to do.
There you go. Well, you know what though? Here's the thing. I would hazard to guess that there is probably more games that are very structured like that people have fun with, that people play and enjoy, than there are games where they're super creative people that are spinning worlds, off the top of their head.
Well,
and
that's the thing is though is you don't let them know that that's what you did. You give them a bunch of hooks and
Right.
let them choose one, and all of the hooks can actually go to the same spot.
Well, that's the illusion of choice. I tell you right there, that is the best skill. That's the thing. If you can make it, if you can have them do what you want, and it looks like they made the choice, that's free will right there. That's what we do. That's the best kind of scenario, because as long as you don't give that up, and they don't challenge it too hard, everybody wins. You get the story you want. That's the Goldilocks zone. Everybody gets the story they want. Everyone gets what they want. They made the choices. They did what you wanted them to do. So did they really make the choice? Really? They couldn't have done anything
Sure did.
else. So
That's why I listen to Dragon Network so well, is because you could keep on making it look like we were making choices when we really weren't.
maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too fuzzy in my old age to do that, I guess. Yeah, I'm not terrible at it, I guess, still, but I don't know. I don't know that anybody is, again, necessarily bad, and I don't know that you don't have to be a master storyteller to run and manage a game. You need to provide a level of information that makes your players happy and gets things moving. And again, people go play Adventures League all the goddamn time. I don't know how they do that shit. I would be bored out of my skull. Be very unhappy with it, because I just don't think it. It translates well. It's my opinion. All right. So now the flip side of this, right? So the benevolent narrative, the benevolence of the narrative choke chain. So you sit down in the game and you don't have any options. You do exactly what you can make all the choices about how you do what you're told to go do, but you're going to do it.
The choke chain's really easy to explain. Think of Final Fantasy.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking about this,
Any of the old video game role playing games, they're literally, you follow that one path storyline till you get to the end.
Yeah, but you know what?
And at some point you get the airship, which gives you the illusion of choice.
Yeah, you can just, it's just fast travel. That's all that was. Like they could have accomplished the same thing with having teleportation circles available to you. It was literally just the ability to go wherever you go, just to travel anywhere you wanted for random encounters. You're right. So here's the thing, though. So I got to ask you though. Did you ever play in those games and go, man, this sucks? I wish I could totally go. I wish I could totally go random around in the inn right now. Like, I never once feel that way. Like, I loved all those games. I would go back and replay them. I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. As long as the story is good. That's where it breaks down. If the story that you're tied to is terrible. That was the other thing we said about
and
Pete.
Most of them were pretty terrible.
That was the other thing I said about Pete. That's actually what actually broke the game, the heroic retreat thing got me kicked out of the meeting. What actually broke the game is, as I said, it's like, we're tied to a storyline that doesn't exist. That's what I said.
Yes.
That was the end of that.
I've
Once
used
again,
that phrase.
kind of a dick. So yeah, so
I've used that phrase a few times
So
about my own games. In fact,
fair enough. So here's the thing. So if the story's really good, if you were told, look, man, here's how this is gonna go. We're gonna play this D&D game or this fan or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you an epic story from start to finish. However, you're not really gonna make any choices. Like, you're gonna go where you're supposed to go and do things you're supposed to do and resolve things as I put them in front of you. And you really aren't gonna make any choices except like how you interact in those little scenes. In those scenes, yeah. Like you can act within the scene, but you're going from scene to scene to scene based on what I want. But the story was going to be good. Would you care?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Most of the time, no, but occasionally, I'd probably have to try to rebel, just because I personally don't like authority telling me what to do.
All right.
So much is because I can ignore the storyline, the main storyline, and go do other storylines.
Yeah, see, I'm the exact opposite. The whole reason I stopped playing those was that the core narrative was so bad and so minimal that I'm like, oh, the whole reason to have this game is to run around and do random shit. I'm like, nah.
Well,
now I will say, and
yeah, Skyrim has a much deeper storyline.
Yeah, well, and
the older one, the Morrowind, the Oblivion, yeah, they were pretty much random acts of randomness until you randomly blunder into the random.
Yep.
And then you randomly either win or lose.
Yep. Now,
Skyrim actually has a pretty deep storyline. The main storyline is pretty deep.
Yep. And what I was going to say,
and then you have deeper, real deep cuts on the side quests. I mean, there's trees that are like 30 quests deep.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that I've watched a lot of videos on just how deep the lore is in that game, and one of my things I was talking with the newbies, that I was planning on helping get set up and play games. That
right.
I was asking them, what do you identify with? What makes you, what excites you about, stories and fiction and the idea in the game, things that you're interested in, different. And I was listing out a bunch of stuff, your, character interactions, good dialogue, good story, exciting moments, that kind of dramatic tension that, life or death, win or lose, life or death kind of scenarios. And and then I told him for me personally, I'm a huge story guy, and I love I do like the interactions with characters. But one of the biggest things for me is I'm an explorer. I love getting to discover things, figuring out finding secrets, figuring out things, learning stuff. I love that shit. And while the old Morrowind games or Oblivion games were light on that, Skyrim is from everything I've seen, is very deep into that, very, very deep. Just like another one, Fallout. Like I was never super fired up about that series until I started to research some of the lore and how deep the histories go and how there are all these things in that game world that are like, what's the one, it's a Chinese sub commander, you find them and they're zombies, but then you realize that there's this huge story, backstory for for the captain, and you can find all this information out, and it links to other things that you can run into in the game, and it's just like that shit fascinates me. I love that shit. Love it. You know.
That's what I like about the newer Bethesda games for sure.
Yeah. See,
They have a lot more.
Yep. And in keeping with what we were saying about what's good about this and the kind of the Goldilocks where you need to be at in the games, all the Batman games, my favorite character by the way, the I play those games have a super deep storyline. The main story arc of the game is compelling from start to finish. You know, you really want like I have a hard time not progressing the storyline because I so want to see what comes next. And what I do with those what?
I want to do Riddler challenges.
Oh well, first of all, I can't. Every one of those games I've done, I complete 100%. Except for
I stop after a while.
well, no, I got 100% it. Except for the most recent one, the Arkham Knight, where there's all the all the stuff with the car, like some of those challenges. I'm like not really my thing. I did all the ones for the Riddler trophies, but like all the extra ones fighting like the tank battles and stuff that's they're obnoxious. So
they're easy.
No, not some of them get kind of crazy. I don't know. Not my thing. I'm not a racing. I've never been a huge racing game guy. Never my thing. But
battles aren't racing. They're blowing stuff up.
They're
Ignore me.
I'm ignoring you. Yes, but no. What I do is I force myself. I want to do all of those things, right? Because there's all the stories and things I want to explore. So what I do is I play the game specifically that I look for places where there's the break in the story. So you complete one thing, you go grab a bad guy or whatever, and then they're very good about having little lulls where the next hook, like Alfred comes on and is like, it's like, oh sir, there's something for you at the Batcave when you return. Okay, so in my head I'm like, all right, well there isn't anything compelling at the moment that like I'm like, oh I must go do this because it feels like the thing I would go do. And then what I will do is I will take that break in the story and I'll go ram around and do a bunch of random shit.
Right.
Kind of, for a little bit, try and complete some stuff, do different things, and then I'll go and advance the storyline and I look for those breaks, and it works out. And that's 100% what we were saying though. With this, like you need to be in that Goldilocks zone where there needs to be that narrative and there needs to be things that are timed, that kind of drive you forward at certain points, but then there needs to be those breaks in between as well. That's what I was trying to, and again, that's what I was trying to accomplish with the structure of the Shadowrun game was, an initial mission that ties into a bigger storyline, and then some free time to go random around for a little bit for you guys, and then again get right back into it. That was kind of the idea because I 100% realize I've had a lot of games where I don't leave any time for that. We talked about this with the whole experience thing. Like I don't leave you guys any downtime for anything. You're always on, always going. There's always something happening. You're always got to be involved. There's always a hook. And I don't create that time, and that's every bit as non-realistic as there never being anything going on. So I realize that. So. Yeah, so with the forced narrative, yeah, the game moves along. You have good direction. People can be involved in that, and as long as you have some breaks in it, it's fine. So a particular problem for us, and this is where the compelled narrative is, I think, where it really benefits, taking away player agency. If everybody has choices, the downside, everybody has choices. You get the dominant personalities. People fade in the background. The flip side, when you remove that, you're compelling your players to interact with other players' characters and their character arcs, and you can force things to highlight different people. And while sure the wallflower player may not, they may not become the super vocal leader. At least you're saying, look, your character's important, your backstory is important, things you want to do are important. So, you make a decision on where things are going, and then you've created a scenario where that's what's going to happen. People are going to have to follow it, and it can be good. Again, it can be good to get everybody involved, but most importantly, I think it really doing that really highlights the kind of players that you have, and it'll expose people that are selfish or inconsiderate of other people. The people that don't give a shit about everybody else. They're there to do what, like, again, they're there to win the game and they don't care who they steamroll to do it, or they're there and they only care about their storyline because they think they're the most interesting person. Everybody else is just a supporting character, and they're the star.
Their narrative, yes.
Yeah, I think forcing that around so that you can you can take the agency from those players and give it to the quieter folks, the softer voices.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah. I also think
your reasoning makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
The problem, the problem I can see in that instance is that when you try to highlight that wallflower character,
yep,
drink and don't that either.
Yeah, I mean, if you do that and they just sit there like a bump on a frog's ass, yeah, I see that. This was the dark side of this. I was going to say, because again, I had the same kind of thing on here about when did it go horribly wrong. I tried that shit in one of my last fantasy games where we took I gave somebody the arc, and their character was because they are just naturally deceitful and very behind the scenes, kind of thing. They're going to manipulate, they're going to withhold information to manipulate people into doing things. They're sneaky about it. That's what I was working for. Sneaky, filthy hobbitses.
That's it. Sneaky, yeah.
Yeah, because they got to be sly about everything and sneaky. That blew up right in everyone's face. Like that shit, like that ended up with one character trying to kill another one, which I had an issue with. Obviously, there was a long argument about that, and that was before I realized. That was before I knew the depths of the morality shift that had gone on. So bad on me for not understanding that. But yeah, I mean, that blew up in my face. So it's 100% possible that doesn't work out. But you know what? I don't know if that's a good enough reason. See, when that was a couple years ago now, because we took a break, and then we've actually been doing the Shadowrun thing for almost a year. Like there's been a lot of gaps in it, which just seems crazy to think about that. But we were doing this in February.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think we started. I think we started in November.
They rebuild their characters.
Start over again. Everybody rebuild their characters. Dude, here's the thing. I thought about that. That thought had occurred to me at one point.
Almost as bad. Probably. It would probably still end up almost as bad.
Probably, yeah. You're not wrong. But yes, we've been doing this for almost a year. But so I mean, we're going back a while to get to this D&D game, and yeah, it blew up right in my face. Now, but this is the thing. I don't think that the correct response to that though is to say, okay, well, you're fucking stupid. You're never gonna be the star of the show again. No. I think you need to put it back on the person, but you have to learn. I have to learn that they're like this. So you got to take steps to correct the problems that come up. And ideally, here's the thing. Do you want to have somebody in your group at your table, whether you're running the game or you're playing in it, that you don't actually want to do things occasionally. Like you don't oh god, I really don't want this person ever to talk. Oh, I hope we never do anything that character wants to do. Like, you really want someone like that? Really? I don't think you do. And if they're playing at your table and you're not gonna boot them, then you need to work on them.
True. I mean, that's the only thing you can do.
Yep. So other things, so as we wind this one down, some other things. So yeah, obviously, the choke chain's a little more realistic because shit's gonna happen. You're gonna want to do. There's
Unless
also
you can get somebody who will push things forward regardless.
yeah, but even then,
And that was my only thought is if there's somebody there that can push things forward. But yeah,
yeah,
and you got the strong personality character leading again.
yeah, and think if does that ultimately again that really goes very far to kind of I think it disengages people because now you can I mean you've seen it in our games like you got two you get moments where you get people sitting around a table and they're just sitting there just rolling dice like you don't have fucking you have no clue what's going on, you're just waiting to be told to roll. Like you don't know what's going on, you totally checked out to let somebody else, you're letting somebody else steer the pilot steer the car. Another thing that I think is crucially important in games though is that having that forced narrative though, having scenes like that, it creates consequences because this is what's going to go on, and if the player's like, well, screw it, I'm really not going to do it. Okay, fine. There's a consequence to it. Like our current situation in the Shadowrun game.
We dug ourselves a hole so
there's a
deep
consequence. Yeah, exactly.
There's no getting out of it, and my new character just got caught in the crossfire.
Maybe.
Of the changeover.
Yeah, but so the thing. So I had the narrative out there, so everybody chooses to rebel against that. Okay, fine. I'm adaptable. There's a consequence for the decisions that have been made. There'll be a consequence. There'll be a fallout at the end of the game from it that would affect the characters going forward. And the primary one is that if I still intend to have the game world go forward with the events I've put in motion. So if you guys put yourself in a situation where you're removed from that storyline, then fine. Then what eventually, if the game keeps going, what eventually is going to play out is that the events are going to happen, and they're going to happen to you, whether you like it or not, and you're not going to have any fucking clue what's going on. And then
Sounds to me.
Yeah, then you get that reveal, and you're like, oh, that's what we were doing. Yeah, well, you would, yep, and you would have known, and shit could have gone differently. But but again, consequences are important, and it goes back to the whole theme of trying to win. Stop trying to win at the game. Failure. Success.
Not
and
only
rewards,
an option.
Failures. Yeah,
it's the only choice.
Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, the consequences, those things need to happen. And again, when they happen, and this is another problem, another problem that I need to address and kind of work around or through. When things go wrong and there's consequences, the characters should feel those. The players should not be getting crazy about that. And so you make a choice, something bad happens. The character should be like, shit, that sucked. Well, let's not do that again. And the characters would have the fallout from that. But no player should be like, yep, this is all your fault, yelling at people across the table, having that no, okay, whoa, that's where the story went. Okay, we're just gonna roll with it. That's what happened. This is what happened. Your character's pissed off. You as a player, you need to separate yourself from that, and that is definitely something that again it carries over to the people, and that's kind of a problem. So, got to work on that. All right, I think we kind of covered all the bad stuff. That was 2 hours of chat, no problem. I personally didn't know if we were gonna go that long. I wanted to get into building a better game. So we're going to save that for next time. So the idea, I'll tell you this, I was thinking about, we were talking about the alignment thing, and you liked the idea. So
Yeah.
I think next week we'll work that segment in there. And what I want to do is, here's something we complained about or had an issue with. All right, let's go ahead and find a way to fix it. So I have an issue with players making decisions for their characters that I don't think line up with what they've explained their character is going to be like. That alignment system, I think, would be a good tool for new players, and also would kind of, I think that would very clearly establish a guideline to say, look, I'm going to check you guys on some of your actions. Like I want you to make the choices. I want your characters to grow and develop, and I know that no one is locked into you have to act a certain way all the time. But I wanted to have this, but I have this here, and when you do something that's crazy off the wall, I'm going to check you on it based on what you put here and where things have been going. And you need to understand, I might overrule your decision. End of story.
I'll make you make another decision.
Yep. And you know what? And
Unless you want to make a radical change with your character.
But even then, there's like there were,
and at a certain point, you'd probably actually cause yourself mental issues.
Yeah, maybe. Again,
I'm
I
sorry. I like addiction rules and things like that. So
Yeah.
I know you don't particularly, but I like that because it's another role playing aid as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. See, I like the idea. I avoid them because of the two reasons. One, it's a bit of bookkeeping and some mechanical stuff. And when that came up in this game, like I'm still struggling to figure out how the hell to shoot at people. So I'm like, I don't got time for all that nonsense. I think it would go much better now. My other issue with it, my primary issue, is when those things when those things are put in the game, they create a benefit, and the trade-off really isn't a trade. There really isn't a negative. Like I had that problem with the one quality that Ken has with the insomnia thing. The only impact of that is it lessens the amount of it lengthens the amount of time it takes them to recover stun damage. That's not a goddamn issue.
Which could make a difference.
When?
If you do armor properly, it might make a difference, Jay. Because all damage is stun if it's underneath the armor lady.
No, I know that, but it's the mechanics of it. The rule is the way that the rule actually affects it is so minimal that I don't think it really ever comes up.
I don't. Insomnia doesn't make any sense as a bad thing, regardless. So I never bothered to even look at it more than once.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to deal with it. All right. Last thing before we stop talking to all zero people on the internet for the night. So totally had this idea for our intro, right? Well, first of all, I think I'm gonna start taking the topics, and I'm gonna get the topic written out in some sort of artsy fashion, and we we'll kind of click through the slides as we go, like what we're talking about. So we'll have the faces and we'll have graphics and shit around them, like titles, whatever. But I think for the opening, like I said, I want to get the metal going. Some 30 seconds of heavy riffs. And there's a quote from one of the Conan movies. Conan's talking to Sabotai, and they're discussing their gods. So Conan's god is Crom, Crom, I believe. And he's like, Crom laughs at you. Crom laughs at your four winds. He laughs at you from his mountain. And I'm like, I'm just gonna change that. I'm gonna get that sound bite and just change it. So we'll have the music playing, and I'm gonna say that, but it's gonna be Grom. Grom laughs at you. That's right. So I'm gonna do that, and then I need your line to be, well, sometimes I hate everybody, and sometimes I hate you, and then like that'll just that'll be the end of it, and it'll go right to the musical fade, and then the show will start. And I'm like, that's just fucking perfect. So I gotta get that in there. Then when we get the rest of the idiots added to our portrait here, I think we'll get something from each of them too, and we'll have it all layered in there somewhere. But I got to work on that in between. I was thinking about the things to do. So, all right, interwebs. Well, it's 2 hours. I'm sleepy. I'm out of things to bitch about. I got crazy ideas for next time, and I actually got to spend some time. I got to spend some time planning, actually putting together things for our game for what is now tonight, so that it can be a huge flaming disaster. I can't wait. So, thanks
I
for all.
can't wait till we walk in there without any
And nothing
without
happens.
any need to break in and walk right up and see her grandfather, and then I go, "We betrayed somebody's trust for this."
Well, I'm personally waiting for it to become a gigantic
Oh, it'll become a gigantic thing right there.
Well,
I'm not kidding.
What I'm saying though is
Not kidding.
I'm waiting for everybody to make a huge mountain out of getting into the place, like getting all crazy with it. Because here's the thing, you don't actually know what's going to happen. So I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk, because it may not be. Because who knows. But all right, so got to work on a closing for the show too. So for all 0 people on the internet that listen to us, hope you enjoyed it. Again, join our Facebook group. Check out the episodes we put up on YouTube. Episode 6 on there from last week. We'll get episode 7 up there, hopefully Monday or Tuesday. We'll work on increasing the content of the show. But otherwise, good night, internet.
Good night now.